The New York Knicks are gearing up for a pretty big shift this season, and it was recently discussed on SportsCenter, sparking plenty of buzz across the fan base. According to the broadcast, the Knicks are rethinking not only their rotation, but also their overall playing style. Fans have been calling for this kind of change for a while, and now, with the right pieces in place, it looks like it's finally happening. Let's break down what was said on the program. With Mike Brown now at the helm, expectations are that we'll see a very different brand of Knicks basketball. Gone are the days of a grinded-out, half-court heavy style under Tom Thibodeau, where defense took priority even though your top players, like Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, thrive on the offensive end. Brown's philosophy leans into pace, ball movement, and depth. He's not afraid to use his bench, and he's expected to open up the floor far more than the previous regime. One of the more compelling notes from SportsCenter was about how the system under Thibodeau might have actually held the team back, especially considering the strengths of its current stars. Mike Brown brings a fresh approach that could finally unlock the full offensive potential of this group. And that's crucial when your top names are offensive-minded players like Brunson and Towns, while the rest of your rotation brings varying degrees of scoring and spacing rather than elite defense. Now, as for the lineup decisions ahead, Christian Winfield's report was mentioned during the segment, specifically noting that there's ongoing debate within the organization about who starts and who comes off the bench. Ian Begley also chimed in, saying that there's some support internally for keeping the current starters intact, but that could change. The Knicks, you'll remember, nearly pushed through to the conference finals last year after switching things up, putting Josh Hart in for Mitchell Robinson during that stretch against the Pacers. That adjustment made New York way more competitive on the glass and gave them a toughness boost with two traditional bigs clogging the paint. Still, it's tough to imagine a scenario where a guy like Towns, set to make over $53 million in 2025-26, comes off the bench. Same with OG Anunoby, at nearly $40 million, or even Mikal Bridges, who's in that $25 million range. And let's be honest, no one is benching Jalen Brunson. That leaves Robinson as the most likely candidate to shift into a bench role. He's done it before, and to his credit, he was just as impactful coming off the bench last season post-injury as he was when starting. So if the team decides to keep Josh Hart in the starting five, especially if his three-point shot is falling, there could be a case for that. Now, last year, Hart shot just 33.3% from beyond the arc in the regular season, but he did hit around 37% in the playoffs, which shows he can step up in big moments. If Hart continues trending in that direction, he might hold on to that spot. But again, that's the same starting lineup we saw under Thibodeau. Will Mike Brown really stick with that? One of these two, Hart or Robinson, is likely to come off the bench. And personally, if we go by what was discussed on SportsCenter, the sense is that Mitchell Robinson could remain in the starting unit. And here's why. While it's true the Knicks are light on big man depth, it's not like they're completely without option. Ariel Hukporti is now entering his second year and could take on more responsibility. He's athletic, runs the floor well, and fits perfectly into an up-tempo system. His passing from the high post and ability to finish in transition make him an intriguing option. He's not your typical developmental piece. He's more polished than people realize. Then there's Gershon Yabusele. He offers size and versatility and could even be used as a small ball five in spurts. Staggering Towns and Robinson's minutes would allow the Knicks to always have a big man on the floor, while still giving guys like Hukporti and Yabusele room to grow and contribute. Still, Robinson remains the anchor. Last postseason, he averaged 7 rebounds and 5 points per game, shot over 61% from the field, and nearly grabbed 4 offensive boards per night. The blocks weren't quite there, likely due to him still recovering, but he brought his usual energy and physicality. He was still doing all the things you expect from Mitchell Robinson. As was highlighted during the segment on SportsCenter, Mitchell Robinson continues to stand out as one of the most valuable and consistent presences the Knicks have had in recent memory. He's the longest tenured player on the roster by far, and it's no accident. He's survived multiple front office shakeups, coaching changes, and roster overhauls. Why? Because what he brings to the floor simply holds up over time. Just to put things into perspective, Robinson has been with the Knicks since before the pandemic. He was technically teammates with Kristaps Porzingis, even though they never shared the court due to Porzingis recovering from that ACL injury. Still, it's wild to think back to that era when names like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee were still in orange and blue. It really drives home just how long Robinson has been part of the Knicks fabric, and through all that time, his value hasn't faded. If anything, it's become clearer. He still does the things most big men simply can't do consistently: rim protection, elite offensive rebounding, vertical spacing, and setting hard screens. As noted on SportsCenter, that kind of skill set becomes even more vital now that Karl Anthony Towns is in the mix. With Towns preferring to operate from the perimeter, having a dominant interior presence like Robinson frees up space and unlocks key offensive sets. The numbers back it up too. During the playoffs, several different four-man combinations involving Robinson posted outstanding net rating. One of the most effective was Anunoby, Towns, Robinson, and McBride, a group that posted a staggering plus 157.9 net rating. Other variations, like Towns, Hart, Mitch, and McBride, plus 36.4, or Towns, Bridges, Mitch, and McBride, plus 31.0, also delivered strong results. Even combinations that included backup guard Cameron Payne showed positive signs. The lineup of Towns, Payne, Anunoby, and Robinson had a plus 113.0 net rating. Another version, Towns, Payne, Mitch, and McBride, posted a plus 116.7 net rating across 23 minutes. None of those lineups even included Jalen Brunson, which just emphasizes how impactful Robinson's presence is. His ability to clean up missed shots, anchor the paint, and keep possessions alive can change the dynamic of a game, especially when paired with someone as skilled offensively as Towns. And now, with the Knicks having upgraded their guard depth behind Brunson, Robinson's value only increases. The team doesn't need him to score. They need him to control the paint and create opportunities through effort play. That's exactly what he does, night in and night out. As mentioned during the show, he catches lobs, sets hard screens, and crashes the offensive glass better than almost anyone. His timing, instincts, and consistency make him the ideal big to start next to Towns, especially if the Knicks want to play with balance and pace. Tactically, his presence also makes it harder for opposing teams to exploit mismatches. When Josh Hart started at the 4, opposing bigs often left him open to double Towns. That won't happen with Robinson. Bigs can't just roam off him to help elsewhere. If they do, he'll slide into the dunker spot and punish them with a putback or an easy finish off a drop pass. That changes the way teams have to defend the Knicks entirely. It opens up cleaner looks for Towns and allows the Knicks to operate with more spacing and better floor balance. That's not to take away from what Josh Hart brings. As SportsCenter pointed out, he was highly productive in the regular season, averaging 6 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.5 steals per game while shooting 52% from the field. He's a do-it-all glue guy who plays with toughness. But when teams stopped respecting his jumper and put size on him, the Knicks' offense bogged down. The drop in offensive efficiency was noticeable when defenses sagged off Hart and keyed in on Towns. That's why this upcoming season feels like the right time to recalibrate. The Knicks don't necessarily need to abandon Hart, but they may need to reconsider how he's used in the rotation, possibly as a sixth man or in more situational lineups where his energy and rebounding are maximized. And speaking of backcourt combinations, another option raised on SportsCenter was pairing Jalen Brunson with Deuce McBride in the starting lineup. While it would be a smaller backcourt, McBride is a relentless defender and reliable three-point shooter. Last season, he hit about 37% from beyond the arc in both the regular season and the playoffs. His ability to stretch the floor and guard opposing point guards at a high level gives the Knicks flexibility. When Brunson and McBride shared the court during the regular season, the Knicks posted a net rating of plus 6.9 over 693 minutes. In the playoffs, that duo was even better, +9 across 184 minutes. That's no fluke. Their chemistry works, and McBride's defensive pressure complements Brunson's offensive wizardry well. If the Knicks want to push the pace and disrupt opposing backcourts, that could be a combination worth leaning into more. And as the Knicks' potential starting lineup continues to take shape, one combination that's drawn attention is Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Deuce McBride. That trio posted a +13, 4 net rating over 289 minutes during the regular season, and while they essentially broke even in limited playoff action, there's a growing belief that this group could be part of something bigger. There's always been a natural synergy between Brunson and McBride. Brunson's command of the offense opens up clean looks for others, and McBride, in turn, benefits immensely from playing alongside him. The chemistry is already there, and it's not hard to see why that pairing works. Looking back at McBride's season, his numbers point to steady progress. He averaged 9.5 points, 3 assists, and 2.5 rebounds per game, while shooting 37% from 3 and recording a steal per game. He also hit 40% from the field and maintained a strong defensive presence every time he was on the court. Among Knicks guards, he may very well be the best point-of-attack defender, something that would serve the starting 5 well in Mike Brown's system. Speaking of Brown, it's worth remembering the kind of lineups he's leaned on in the past. When Brown led the Sacramento Kings to the playoffs, his team wasn't built on overwhelming size. The front-court duo of Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis formed the backbone of a lineup that also included guards like De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Harrison Barnes played a hybrid forward role. It wasn't a physically imposing group by traditional standards, but it was built to run, shoot, and switch defensively. That's important context for Knicks fans expecting a rigid approach to size and rotation. Brown has proven time and again that he's not afraid to go small if it makes the team faster, sharper, and more versatile. He coached the Warriors during their title runs. He knows how to make a smaller lineup work. So if he does decide to start Brunson and McBride together, it wouldn't be a surprise. In fact, it might just be the kind of bold, adaptable thinking that this team needs. McBride's playoff production was also solid. He averaged 6 points per game, shooting 37% both from the field and from deep. Nearly all of his shots came from 3, which helped maintain spacing even when the offense bogged down. His true shooting percentage was efficient, and while he's not the primary scoring option, his role as a reliable floor spacer and elite defender fits perfectly into a team looking for consistency around its stars. Another interesting wild card mentioned on the show was second-year forward Pacome Deer. Taken 25th overall in the 2024 NBA Draft, Deer brings a unique combination of size and skill to the table. At 6'7", with a 6.9 wingspan and nearly 9-foot standing reach, he's built like a modern wing and already shows signs of being a strong two-way player. Despite missing the final 3 games of Summer League with a toe injury, Dyer impressed early on, scoring 17 points on 8 for 13, shooting in the opener against the Pistons. Now, he's still raw. Dyer didn't log meaningful minutes last season and spent most of his time in Westchester with the Knicks' G League affiliate. But as Kristen Winfield pointed out, there's a case to be made for throwing him into the mix and seeing how he responds. Sometimes, you just let a young player learn through fire. He has the length to switch across multiple positions, a smooth shooting stroke, and a willingness to attack off the dribble. That kind of energy and skill set can be invaluable if nurtured properly. And if Dyer does start to emerge, even in a limited role, it adds another layer of depth to a Knicks team that's already stacked with versatile pieces. He could become one of those unexpected breakout stories, a 3-and-D wing who suddenly becomes part of the nightly rotation. At the very least, he'll be someone Mike Brown watches closely as the season unfolds. So, with Brunson, Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges locked in as starters, the real question becomes, who's the 5th? Is it Mitchell Robinson, with his dominance in the paint and rebounding edge? Is it Josh Hart, whose hustle and toughness are never in question? Could it be Deuce McBride, the gritty guard who brings perimeter defense and timely shooting? Or maybe someone more surprising, like Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, or even the unproven but promising Pacome Deer. That's the intrigue heading into training camp. The Knicks, under Mike Brown, aren't going to be locked into just one look. They're going to adapt, experiment, and build lineups around matchups, energy, and momentum. It's going to be a season full of questions, and if things go right, even more answers. Now it's up to Leon Rose, Mike Brown, and the rest of the front office to finalize the roster and trust the pieces they've assembled. And once the final spot in that starting five is decided, we'll start to see the full picture of what this team can truly become.